Bedtime Stories for Kids, Pinocchio. Once upon a time, in a quiet little village nestled between the hills, there lived a kind and lonely woodcarver named Geppetto. He had no family of his own, but he found joy in carving toys for the children of the town. His workshop smelled of pine shavings and magic, filled with wooden animals, wind-up dolls, and dancing marionettes. Yet, in the stillness of the evenings, as the sun dipped low and laughter faded from the streets, Geppetto would sit alone beside the fire, carving not for customers, but for his own heart. "If only I had a son," he would whisper, smoothing the curve of a wooden cheek. One winter's night, with the wind howling outside, Geppetto carved his finest work yet. A puppet boy, with wide eyes, a cheeky grin, and spindly limbs. He painted him carefully and gave him a little green cap and a red vest. "I'll name you Pinocchio," Geppetto said softly, "my little wooden son." Before going to bed, he looked up at the stars. "Please," he whispered, "let him live, just for a little while." As he slept, a soft blue light spilled into the room. A shimmering figure, the blue fairy, appeared beside the workbench, smiling kindly. "Your love has given this puppet shape," she said. "Let's see if he can earn the rest." She touched Pinocchio's wooden head with her wand. "Wake, little one. Your journey begins tonight." And with that, she vanished. A crackle of sparks, a twitch of fingers, a blink, and Pinocchio sat up, blinking at the firelight. "Whoa," he whispered, "where am I?" He looked down at his wooden limbs, then around the room. "I'm alive." In the next room, Geppetto snored peacefully, unaware that his wish had just stepped off the workbench. Pinocchio crept to the mirror. He made a face, wiggled his fingers, spun in a circle. "This is amazing." A cricket hopped onto the shelf beside him. "Whoa there, slow down," the cricket said. "You've got a lot to learn." "Who are you?" "Name's Jiminy. The blue fairy sent me to help you. I'm your conscience." "My what now?" Jiminy sighed. "Let's just say I help you tell right from wrong." "Easy," Pinocchio grinned. "I just want to have fun." Jiminy groaned. "Yeah, that's what I was afraid of." The next morning, Geppetto woke to the sound of humming. He rubbed his eyes and shuffled into the workshop, then froze. There stood Pinocchio, dancing across the floor, arms swinging, wooden feet tapping on the planks. "Good morning, Papa." The puppet grinned. Geppetto nearly fainted. My boy, you're alive." "Yup," Pinocchio beamed. "The blue fairy did it. Now I can talk and walk and everything." Tears filled Geppetto's eyes as he scooped the puppet into his arms. "You're the answer to my prayer," he whispered. "My dream come true." Geppetto made Pinocchio a school satchel, packed him a lunch, and sent him off with a kiss and a warning. "Be kind, be honest, and listen to your conscience." Sure, Pinocchio waved, already skipping down the path. "Bye, Papa." Jiminy Cricket rode in his pocket. "We'll go to school, learn a few things, come home, easy as pie," he chirped. But as they walked, the streets became crowded. Music played, flags waved, and a crowd had gathered around a traveling puppet show. Colorful puppets danced and sang on a small wooden stage. "Come one, come all," shouted the puppet master. Magic, laughter, wonder. Pinocchio's eyes sparkled. "I want to try that." No, said Jiminy. "You're going to school, remember." "Just a peek," Pinocchio said, "a teeny peek." He crept closer, and before Jiminy could stop him, he was pulled right up onto the stage by the puppet master himself. "Look at this little marvel," the man said. "A puppet with no strings." The crowd gasped and cheered. Pinocchio danced and spun, loving the attention. "They like me," he laughed. "You're famous." The puppet master grinned, then locked Pinocchio in a cage behind the curtain. "And now, you're mine." That night, the blue fairy appeared in a shimmer of starlight. "Why didn't you go to school, Pinocchio?" Pinocchio bit his lip. I was kidnapped." His nose twitched. "Well, okay. I maybe went to the show first." Creak. His nose grew, but I only danced a little. Stretch. His nose extended further. "All right," he cried. I skipped school and joined a puppet show because it looked fun. I'm sorry." The blue fairy touched his nose with her wand. "Telling the truth is always the first step, Pinocchio." The cage opened with a glow. "Be brave. Be kind. Be honest. I'll try," he whispered. And just like that, she was gone. Pinocchio wandered through the woods with Jiminy back on his shoulder, grumbling. "You've got to start listening, kid," the cricket scolded. "School first, fame later." I know, Pinocchio sighed. "No more distractions. I promise." But promises are hard when the world is full of shiny temptations. Soon, they met a coachman in a tall hat and long coat, who spoke with a syrupy voice. "Going somewhere, my boy?" he asked, smiling too wide. "We're going home," said Jiminy. "Home?" The man laughed. "Why not come to Pleasure Island instead? It's a paradise. Candy for dinner, no rules, no homework, no grown-ups." Pinocchio's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing." "It's a trap," Jiminy hissed. "You're always so grumpy," Pinocchio said, and climbed onto the coach. Jiminy shouted after him, but the wheels were already spinning down the road. Pleasure Island was everything the coachman promised, and worse. There were carousels, chocolate fountains, fireworks, and endless games. Pinocchio joined dozens of other boys who ran wild through the night. "Best day ever." He laughed, but slowly. Things changed. Boys started braying. Their ears grew longer. Their laughter turned to terrified cries. One by one, they became donkeys, herded by shadowy men into cages, sold off for labor. Pinocchio stared in horror as his own ears stretched, his hands stiffened, and a tail sprouted behind him. "No, I didn't know." He galloped through the chaos, stumbling and sobbing, until he found Jiminy, dusty and breathless. "Help me," he cried. "I want to go home." The cricket nodded grimly. "Then let's run." Now, they escaped over a crumbling fence, fled into the woods, and hid by a stream until morning. Pinocchio's ears were still long, but his heart was heavy with truth. "I've messed up everything," he said. "What if Papa thinks I'm gone forever?" "Then we'd better go find him," Jiminy said. But when they reached the cottage, it was empty. A note sat on the table. "I have gone to sea, searching for you, Papa," Pinocchio gasped. "He went looking for me, and now he's lost too." The blue fairy's voice echoed faintly in the wind. "To be real, you must be brave, truthful, and unselfish." Pinocchio stood tall, ears and all. "Then it's time I start acting like a real boy." Guided by whispers from the wind and Jiminy's steady advice, Pinocchio journeyed across hills, through dark forests, and finally to the edge of the sea. There, an old fisherman pointed to the waves. "A little boat went out during the last storm," he said. "Poor man was calling for a boy. The sea took him." Pinocchio's chest tightened. "Papa," without hesitation, he dove into the ocean, ears, tail, and all, paddling with wooden arms and donkey legs. "You're gonna drown," Jiminy cried from the shore. "Not before I find him," Pinocchio called back, spitting salt water. He swam for hours. Then a shadow rose beneath him, massive, hungry. Before he could scream, the water around him swirled and thundered, and he was swallowed whole by a monstrous whale. Inside the whale's belly, it was dark and damp, with seaweed hanging like curtains. Pinocchio stumbled through the cavern of bones and driftwood. Then he heard a voice. "Hello? Is someone there?" He ran toward the sound and found Geppetto huddled beside a flickering lantern, pale and thin, but alive. "Papa!" Pinocchio cried. "Pinocchio!" Geppetto stared in disbelief. "But how?" They embraced tightly, tears flowing freely. "I came to find you," Pinocchio said. "After everything. I'm so sorry." "You found me," Geppetto whispered. "That's all that matters." Together, they built a raft from the wreckage around them. When the whale yawned, they seized the chance. Pinocchio shoved Geppetto onto the raft and kicked hard, pushing them through the whale's throat and back into the sea. Waves crashed. The raft splintered. Pinocchio held his father above water with the last of his strength, until everything went black. When he awoke, the sky was golden. He was lying in bed, in Geppetto's cottage. His arms felt warm, soft, alive. He looked down and gasped. Flesh. No strings. No wood. He was real. The blue fairy stood in the doorway, smiling. You were brave. You were truthful. You were unselfish. And now, she said, touching his cheek, you are finally a real boy. Geppetto rushed in and swept him up in his arms, laughing and crying all at once. You're real, my son, my boy. Pinocchio hugged him back tightly. Not just real, Papa, he said, smiling. I'm home. And so he was.